Does your engine crank slowly? Does your battery seem weak? Are there strange noises coming from under the hood? Well, these are all signs that you might be having a problem with your alternator. But how can you tell for sure? The truth is there are a number of possible causes. So it's important to check under the hood to make sure that the alternator is really the issue. In this video, we'll go over the basic steps required to determine if you need to replace the alternator on your vehicle. Since we'll be working under the hood, it's important to observe basic safety precautions. Set the parking brake and be sure automatic transmissions are in park and manual transmissions are in neutral. To avoid burns, allow your vehicle to cool before doing any type of repair. Don't wear loose clothing or jewelry that could get caught in moving parts or might bridge electrical connections. And finally, should always wear proper eye protection. Before we start checking under the hood, let's take a closer look at some of the common symptoms you might be experiencing. You could be hearing strange noises, like a rumbling sound caused by damaged alternator bearings or squealing from a loose or worn drive belt. Your vehicle's battery could be dead or not holding a charge, which could be the result of a bad alternator. The starter might not be functioning properly. It just makes a clicking noise or it doesn't turn as strong as it should. If there isn't enough charge in the battery, then the starter won't be able to properly crank the engine. Your headlamps and interior lights could appear dim. Sometimes they get brighter when the engine speed increases. The alternator or charging warning light on your dash could be on, or maybe it's not coming on at all. These are all signs that you might need to replace your alternator, but before you do, it's important to make sure that it isn't something else instead. Now, let's take a look under that hood to review the basic procedures to find out if you need a new alternator. First, ensure that the battery is good and has a full charge. A bad battery could be the problem, and not the starter. This is always the first thing to check. If your battery isn't fully charged, put it on a charger or take it to your local AutoZone store for free charging and testing. Next, we need to check the dashboard. You could have a warning light, gauge, or LED readout that might give you a clue to what's going on. If you've got a warning light, it should come on when you turn the key and go off when the car starts. Most vehicles run voltage from the alternator to the battery through that bulb. If the bulb's burned out, there's a good chance it's the problem, not the alternator. If you've got a gauge, it should show a charge of around 12 volts when the car's off and rise to over 14 volts when running. If it doesn't, there's a problem with the charging system. If you've got an LED readout, look for codes or warnings that show a problem. After you've replaced a bad unit, you'll have to clear that code or wait for the system to reset. Now, this might take up to 40 starts. Now we'll do a visual inspection. We'll start by checking all of the fuses and fusible links. A blown fuse interrupts the flow of electricity and could be causing a charging system problem. Locate the fuse box and make sure there are no blown fuses. Most vehicles use fuses that look like this. You can see if it's blown by looking for a gap or a break in the wire filament. Some vehicles have fuses embedded in wires. These are called fusible links. If you have one of these, you should test it with a voltmeter to make sure it's good. Since resistance could be preventing the regular flow of electricity through your charging system, it's important to check if that could be the problem. Second, check the battery cables. If you see corrosion, then remove the battery cables from the battery, clean them well, and reconnect them. Always disconnect the negative terminal first. And when reconnecting, always reconnect the negative last. If the cables are worn, frayed, or damaged, they should be replaced. Next, check the connectors to the alternator. If they're loose, make sure you tighten them so they're snug and secure. And again, if the cables are damaged, they should be replaced. Word of caution here, never disconnect one of the battery cables while the engine is running. Although this is sometimes suggested as a viable test, it can cause a surge that may burn out and damage other components. You don't want to cause problems in any other systems. Finally, inspect the belt. The belt is what drives the alternator pulley, and if it's not doing its job, then the belt could be the problem. Look for cracks or glazing on the belt as an indication the belt is failing. Also, check the movement of the belt tensioner for rough spots where it seems to hang or if its spring has no tension. And check the bearing inside for excessive wobble or noise. If everything checks out okay, then there's a good chance that you need to replace your alternator. To verify that your alternator has gone bad, take it to your local AutoZone store where we can perform a quick test for free. If you're ready to replace your alternator or just want to see basic information on performing the job, watch our video, How to Install an Alternator. You can also find installation instructions for your specific vehicle on AutoZone.com or just stop by your local AutoZone. Remember, Do it yourself doesn't mean you have to do it alone. Thanks for watching.